The passing of traits from parent to offspring. Heredity. Heredity is how characteristics are passed down from parents to their children through genes. Imagine trying to transfer all of your favorite apps, settings, and contacts from an old phone to a new one. This process is akin to how heredity works, where biological information is passed from parents to offspring. Just as the old phone transfers its data to the new phone, ensuring that the new phone inherits the same apps and settings, parents pass on genetic information to their children, resulting in shared traits and characteristics. Deoxyribonucleic acid, or DNA, carries an organism's genetic information. DNA is like a set of instructions that tells cells how to function and grow. Imagine trying to assemble a piece of furniture without any instructions. Just like a set of instructions guides you to correctly put together each part of your furniture, DNA serves as the blueprint for building and maintaining an organism's body. In this analogy, each step in the instruction manual is similar to a genetic code in DNA, providing specific directions to ensure everything is constructed accurately and functions as intended. The part of a chromosome that contains the DNA for a specific trait, gene. A gene is a section of DNA that determines a specific characteristic or trait in a living organism. Imagine trying to find a specific recipe in a huge cookbook to bake your favorite cake. Just like that recipe contains all the instructions needed to create that specific cake, a gene contains the DNA instructions needed for a specific trait. In this analogy, the cookbook is like the chromosome, the recipe is the gene, and the cake is the trait. Just as the recipe guides you to make the cake, the gene instructs the development of a particular trait. The asexual process of producing an identical copy of the parent cell. Cloning. In simple terms, cloning is creating an exact genetic copy of a living organism. Imagine you're trying to make a perfect duplicate of your favorite homemade soup recipe, ensuring every flavor and ingredient is exactly the same as the last time you made it. This process is similar to cloning in biology, where an identical copy of a parent cell is produced without any variation. Just as you follow the exact same steps and use the same ingredients to replicate your soup, cloning involves replicating the genetic material of a parent cell so precisely that the resulting cell is an exact genetic copy. Much like your soup is a culinary clone of the original. Ribonucleic acid, or RNA, a molecule that aids in protein synthesis, RNA. RNA is a molecule that helps cells make proteins by carrying instructions from DNA. Imagine you're trying to assemble a piece of furniture, but the instructions are written in a language you don't understand. Just like you would need a translator to convert those instructions into something you comprehend and follow. RNA acts as a translator that helps convert genetic information from DNA into proteins your body can use. In this analogy, RNA is the translator that takes the complex language of DNA, the unreadable instructions, and translates it into a form, protein synthesis instructions, that the cellular machinery can understand and use to build proteins, much like assembling furniture from translated instructions. A change in a cell's DNA. Mutation. In simple terms, a mutation is an alteration in the genetic code that can affect how a cell functions or develops. Imagine you're following a beloved family recipe for chocolate chip cookies, but you accidentally use salt instead of sugar. This small change in ingredients can drastically alter the taste and outcome of the cookies, just like how a mutation alters a cell's DNA. In this analogy, the original recipe is akin to the cell's DNA, and the accidental ingredient swap represents a mutation, both resulting in an unexpected change from the intended result. An alternate form of a gene for a specific trait is called an allele. An allele is like a version of a gene that can determine different traits, such as eye color. Imagine you're choosing a type of coffee to order at your favorite cafe, and you're faced with various options like espresso, latte, or cappuccino. Just like these coffee choices are different variations to satisfy your caffeine craving, alleles are different forms of a gene that determine a specific trait, such as hair color or eye color. The connection here is that just as coffee variations provide multiple ways to enjoy your drink, alleles offer multiple ways for a trait to be expressed, with each allele representing a different flavor of a genetic trait. A trait of an allele that masks the other trait, dominant trait. In simple terms, a dominant trait is a characteristic that appears in an organism when one or both parents pass down the dominant gene for that trait. Imagine you're at a party where a loud band is playing, making it difficult to hear the quieter conversations around you. This situation is similar to a dominant trait in genetics, where one allele's characteristic can overshadow or mask the presence of another allele's trait. Just as the band's music overpowers the softer sounds, a dominant allele expresses its trait more prominently, making the recessive allele's trait less noticeable or completely hidden in the organism's phenotype. A trait that is masked from a dominant allele. Recessive trait. A recessive trait is a characteristic that only appears when an individual has two copies of the recessive allele, not masked by a dominant one. Imagine you're at a party trying to share a story, but there's a loud, enthusiastic speaker who keeps grabbing everyone's attention. This scenario is similar to how recessive traits are masked by dominant alleles, because, like the quiet storyteller, a recessive trait is present but overshadowed by the more loud and noticeable dominant allele. Just as the quieter voice struggles to be heard over the boisterous one, a recessive trait remains hidden unless it's paired with another recessive allele, allowing it to finally speak and be expressed. The study of how traits are passed from parents to offspring. Genetics. Genetics is the science of understanding how living organisms inherit characteristics from their parents. Imagine trying to bake a cake using a recipe passed down through generations in your family. Just as you rely on this recipe to recreate the same delicious cake your grandmother used to make. Genetics is the process by which organisms pass down traits, like eye color or height, from parents to offspring, using a biological recipe. In this analogy, the recipe represents genetic information. The ingredients are the genetic material inherited from each parent. And the cake is the resulting traits expressed in the offspring. Two different alleles for a trait. Heterozygous. Heterozygous means having two different versions of a gene for a particular trait. Imagine you're trying to decide what to have for breakfast, but you can't choose between pancakes and cereal. This dilemma is similar to the concept of being heterozygous, where an organism has two different alleles for a trait, just like you have two different breakfast choices. In this analogy, the pancakes and cereal represent the two different alleles, just as you have to decide how to express your breakfast preference. An organism with heterozygous alleles must determine which trait to express, or sometimes it might show a blend or a dominant one, just like when you might decide to have pancakes today and cereal tomorrow. Two identical alleles for a trait. Homozygous. When an organism has two of the same versions of a gene, it is called homozygous. Imagine you're trying to decide what to wear for the day and you find two identical blue shirts in your closet. This situation is similar to the concept of being homozygous, where an individual has two identical alleles for a specific trait. Just like having two of the same blue shirts provides a consistent choice in your wardrobe, having two identical alleles, homozygous, ensures a consistent expression of a trait in an organism. a condition where both alleles are expressed in a phenotype. Codominance. In codominance, both inherited genes are equally expressed, like in blood type AB, where both A and B proteins show up. Imagine you're trying to choose a flavor for a cake, and you can't decide between chocolate and vanilla, so you decide to use both. This decision is similar to codominance in genetics, where instead of one allele being dominant over the other, both alleles are equally expressed in the organism's phenotype. Just as both chocolate and vanilla flavors are simultaneously present and noticeable in the cake in codominance, both alleles contribute equally and visibly to the organism's traits, like the distinct patches of color seen in a spotted cow. An inherited condition caused by a gene or a chromosome mutation. Genetic disorder. It is a health problem caused by changes in our DNA. Imagine you're following a cherished family recipe to bake a cake, but you accidentally misread the instructions and add salt instead of sugar. Similarly, in genetics, an inherited condition can occur when there's a misprint or mutation in a gene or a chromosome, akin to mixing up ingredients in a recipe. Just as the cake might taste different or even be inedible due to the incorrect ingredient, a genetic mutation can cause the body to function differently, leading to a disorder because the recipe for building and maintaining the body wasn't followed correctly. Three or more alleles of the same gene. Multiple allele. Multiple alleles are different versions of the same gene that can exist within a population, leading to variations in physical traits. Imagine you're deciding what to wear each morning, and you have a wardrobe full of clothes. Just like choosing the right outfit requires selecting from numerous shirts, pants, and accessories, multiple alleles involve selecting from three or more different versions of a gene. In this analogy, each piece of clothing represents an allele, and your final outfit is like an organism's genetic makeup, depending on which combination of alleles is chosen. This demonstrates how multiple alleles offer a variety of genetic outfits, allowing for diverse traits, similar to how your wardrobe allows for diverse styles. A chart that shows the genetic traits in several generations of a family. Pedigree. In science, a pedigree is a diagram that traces inherited traits over multiple generations of a family. Imagine trying to trace the history of a family recipe that has been passed down through generations, with each family member adding their own unique twist. Just like piecing together the origins and variations of this recipe, a pedigree chart maps out the genetic traits and how they've been passed down through generations in a family. In this analogy, each ingredient or tweak in the recipe represents a genetic trait. The family members who made the recipe are like the individuals in the pedigree, and the recipe's changes over time demonstrate how traits are inherited and modified across generations. A model that predicts offspring. Punnett square. A Punnett square is a diagram used in genetics to predict the possible traits of offspring from two parents. Imagine you're trying to decide what to cook for dinner with limited ingredients in your pantry. This situation is similar to using a Punnett square, where you predict the possible outcomes based on the genetic ingredients from each parent. Just as you combine different available ingredients to see what meals you can prepare, a Punnett square combines alleles from each parent to predict the genetic traits of their offspring. The pantry represents the genetic pool. The ingredients are the alleles, and the possible dinners are the potential genetic combinations in the offspring. A chromosome that determines an individual's sex. Sex chromosome. A sex chromosome is a type of chromosome that carries genes responsible for determining whether an individual develops as male or female. Imagine you're sorting through a deck of cards to find the Joker card that determines the game's wild card rules. Just like the Joker card sets the rules for what can be played in the game, sex chromosomes determine an individual's sex. In this analogy, the deck of cards represents the complete set of chromosomes, and the Joker card is akin to the sex chromosome. It's the one card or chromosome that establishes the overall rule or trait, in this case, whether an individual is male or female. A gene that is located on a sex chromosome, sex-linked gene. A sex-linked gene is a gene carried on a sex chromosome, which determines inherited traits based on gender. Imagine trying to get a specific item from a vending machine that has separate columns for drinks and snacks. This is similar to how a sex-linked gene operates, because just like the vending machine has a specific location for each type of item, a sex-linked gene is located on a specific chromosome, the sex chromosome. In this analogy, the vending machine represents the genome. The columns are the sex chromosomes, X and Y, and the items, drinks or snacks, are the genes. Just as you can only get a drink from the drink column, a sex-linked gene can only be found on its designated sex chromosome. The offspring of parents that have different forms of a trait, hybrid. In science, a hybrid is an organism produced by crossing two different types or varieties, often resulting in a mixture of traits. Imagine trying to decide what to have for dinner when one person wants pizza and another wants sushi. This situation is similar to how in genetics, a hybrid is the offspring resulting from parents that have different forms of a trait, like one parent with a tall trait and the other with a short trait. Just as the dinner decision might result in a compromise, such as a sushi pizza, the hybrid inherits a mix of traits from both parents, leading to a unique combination that reflects both influences. The process of changing the DNA of an organism, genetic engineering. It's a technique used by scientists to directly alter the genes of an organism to achieve desired traits. Imagine trying to change the recipe of your favorite dish to make it healthier. This is similar to genetic engineering, where scientists alter the DNA of an organism to enhance or introduce desirable traits. Just as you might swap out ingredients in your recipe to reduce calories or add nutrients, genetic engineering involves swapping out sections of DNA to improve an organism's characteristics, such as making crops more resistant to pests or enhancing nutritional content. The breeding of plants or animals to produce desired traits. Selective breeding. Selective breeding is when humans choose certain plants or animals with specific traits to reproduce, so the offspring have those desired traits too. Imagine you're trying to organize your closet, but it's cluttered with clothes you rarely wear. Just as you'd sort through and keep only the clothes that fit well and suit your style, selective breeding involves choosing plants or animals with traits that are most desirable. In both cases, you're intentionally selecting the best options, whether it's clothes that match your needs or organisms with preferred traits, to create a more ideal collection, be it a wardrobe or a breed. Be it a wardrobe or a breed. All the genetic material contained in an organism's DNA. Genome. A genome is the complete set of instructions for building and maintaining an organism. Imagine trying to assemble a giant jigsaw puzzle without a picture on the box to guide you. Just like each puzzle piece fits together to reveal the complete image, an organism's genome is the full collection of genetic pieces that make up its DNA. Each piece of the puzzle is like a gene or a segment of DNA, and when all these genetic pieces are put together correctly, they form the complete picture of the organism's biological blueprint. just as the completed puzzle reveals its intended image. When a male reproductive cell sperm joins with a female reproductive cell egg. Fertilization is the process where the sperm and egg merge to form a new organism. Imagine you're trying to find the perfect match for a puzzle piece among a pile of scattered pieces. Much like how the puzzle piece needs to fit perfectly with its counterpart to complete the picture. A male reproductive cell, sperm, must find and join with a female reproductive cell, egg, to initiate the creation of new life. Just as the correct puzzle piece clicks into place to reveal the image, the sperm and egg merge to begin the development of an embryo, highlighting the essential role of this union in the process of fertilization.